Hi, it's Kirby Summers. I welcome you to my true crime podcast. Today is July 4th, 2024. It is almost 5 years to the day on July 6th that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. And many of us who are here have been studying this case very carefully. 5 years ago today, Jeffrey Epstein was in Paris, France, and he was aware. I don't know how many of you know this, but he was aware that he was going to be arrested when he landed at Teterboro Airport, which is typically where he would land in New Jersey, that he was going to be arrested. However, he believed that it would be really almost no different than the first time that he was arrested. And it's kind of hard to say that word without putting quotes around it, right? Because we know about the special circumstances of that arrest and what did and did not happen. And even today, as I speak with you, I don't know how many people are aware. I mean, I put it in my book, Jeffrey Epstein, Predator Spy, that, he went to Israel. I believe he went to Israel in the latter part of, I'm trying to remember the dates, because Leslie Wexner joined him with President George W. Bush, kind of like within a few days under a different guise. But Epstein went to Israel before he turned himself in. So it had to be, I'm thinking, just going on memory, late March. There was even an article that an Israeli newspaper printed about Epstein, quote, inspecting some of their military stuff. You have to wonder, because at that point, the media was only discussing, we're talking about 2008, the media was only discussing Epstein and referring to him as, quote, a financier. Now, I would be remiss if I did not say that Julie K. Brown, who I have had tremendous respect for, continues to refer to Epstein as a financier. Now, I have trouble with that. I personally have issues with that because he was never that. Never. He was always a spy. He was always a spy, and he was always, even before Ghislaine Maxwell came into the picture, involved in nefarious covert activities. Today, on the 5th anniversary, where Epstein believed he was going to be okay when he came to the United States from France, be arrested, and be allowed to post bail, frankly, beat the rap again, and go on with his misadventures. Well, we know that didn't happen. What I did today was when I began working on this, again, close to 5 years in just a couple of days, it's 5 years that I'm doing this day in and day out, deep dive, deep dive, deep dive, connecting it to a lot of information that I had from all of the years that I spent trying to figure out the secrets of the pushback that I had for decades. I wrote my memoir, The Billionaire's Woman, I believe, in 1997. And I didn't know about other people who were like slaves or connected to these billionaires that were just unusual and had unusual connections. And, I thought, I was an anomaly, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm probably an anomaly in the sense that I am speaking about it, that I have been speaking about it nonstop for 5 years, basically knowing the time that Epstein was arrested, that it was my only opportunity to bring in all the information I had on Leslie Wexner, on Leon Black, on a host of other people that nobody was even literally nobody was really looking at in the proper manner. So today on my Patreon, for my patrons only, I included information that I have not talked about, that is at the center, at the core of the secrets of the Epstein case, that you will never hear from anyone. I have not heard any other indie person, certainly not anyone in the mainstream narrative, but that I got confirmation was right from a very important source whose name those of you who are on my Patreon will recognize, and who was basically told that that line of questioning was going to jeopardize this person's life. Because basically I unraveled it. I found what was at the center of the Epstein case that goes back a long time, because we know he's not the only one to have a trafficking ring. But no one, again, I cannot underscore, no one has gotten to the root, the basic thing that held it together, except for me, which I then bounced off someone in a very unique position with very unique contacts who will go down in history. And I was proven to be right. So again, it's almost 5 years. It's 5 years. Epstein comes to New York. He is arrested. He tries to get bail. He's refused. We then have a blackout in New York. The blackout, for those of you here on my YouTube, I think I can share this here with you, was very limited area. It was from 72nd Street to 34th Street on the west side of Manhattan, a few days after Epstein's arrest, and a little bit before the time that he was murdered. And what this did was it made the offices of the Clinton Foundation that are in the Time Life building in New York, all of those, any electronic stuff that was like alarms, anything that would have been triggered, that was no longer active. So there was some stuff that was happening, the removal of information from the Clinton Foundation, which, if you understood the importance, sometimes one has to look at the real estate where someone is. So if you look at the importance of the Time Life building, you will understand why Clinton was in that building, and why it was important for, and why someone so powerful, there was somebody that was powerful, right? So we had a blackout. I remember that day very, very, very well. It was very unusual. It happened after 6 o'clock in the evening. I remember that day very, very well. It was frightening. We didn't know what was going on. We thought it was all over the city. We had no idea that it was just from 72nd Street to 34th Street. By midnight, I think it was over with. But what we did not know at the time, and what I think nobody has talked about, I mean, in the early days of Epstein's arrest, I believe people talked about oh, we had a blackout in New York, it affected Clinton's office, but then there was nothing else said about that specific incident. And I have remained quiet about it. Until right now with you guys here on YouTube. No one's really looked into it. Nobody. But anyway, if you go to my Patreon, there's something else almost bigger, well, actually a lot bigger that I disclosed there. I want to take this opportunity. I know a lot of you are taking the day off, which I think is great, to have a happy 4th wherever you are. There is hope for us because knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. I think that the important thing that we have been able to do during the last 5 years is we have been able to name some of the people who are involved in this very nefarious would be an understatement, in this covert operation that continues. We can't say that it's finished because Epstein was arrested, right? We have to know that there was something that preceded it, and we have to regrettably know that there's something that continues. However, we have put a dent in it. So there's a win for us. Because when we expose a person, let's say, for example, recently we have been talking about Dr. Henry Jarecki and his sons, and then we can link that to the Hollywood connection to the intelligence agencies, right? So that the more that we can talk and pull threads on the people that are part of this covert world, the weaker they become, because once we're talking about it openly, then they can't use those people again. We've neutralized some of their important operatives. Okay. The same thing happened with Arnon Milchan. At some point, too many people knew about Arnon Milchan before he came clean and basically admitted to being a Mossad spy. Well, he admitted to being a Mossad spy because basically his cover was up. I mean, like, he couldn't hide it anymore. And so that neutralized him, right? Anyway, I want to thank those of you who are following me, who are new. Thanks for being here. And again, those of you who have been with me for 5 years, thank you. Thank you. Do not forget to give this a like, okay? And I do look forward to reading your comments. I love that some of you keep pulling at the strings and providing new information. That's what makes us a community. All right, guys, have a good day. Bye.